Bring out the talent. Bring out the talent.
Bring out the talent.
Welcome to Bring Out the Talent, a podcast featuring learning and development experts discussing innovative approaches and industry insights. Tune in to hear our talent help develop yours. Now here are your hosts, TTA's CEO and President Maria Melfa and Talent Manager Jocelyn Allen.
Jocelyn, you bright up my day whenever I see you, because you and I get busy and we don't even see each other sometimes, even though we're in the same office. And I see you dancing and it makes me smile.
You just lit up my whole life, Maria. I feel the same way. I get very energized when we come into this room together. So I'm very looking forward to being here with you today and bringing the sunshine that you were feeling to the rest of the world.
Absolutely.
Big shoes to fill, but I'm ready for it.
Absolutely. And speaking of big shoes to fill, we have a big time guest here, big time stuff.
Oh, I thought you knew his shoe size.
Yes.
I was like, wow, this bio is really involved with other stuff.
Yes. So, Jocelyn, what does billion-dollar innovation, a global marketplace, and bold leadership have in common?
Got me. I'm usually pretty good at riddles.
They were all driven by one thing: strategic leadership.
I fully agree with that statement.
Yes.
Definitely.
In this episode of Bring Out the Talent, we are joined by John Rossman, former Amazon executive and author of Big Bet Leadership, your transformational playbook for winning in the hyper-digital era. John led the launch of Amazon Marketplace, how very cool, now responsible for over half of Amazon's global sales, and has since guided high-impact transformation at organizations like T-Mobile, the Gates Foundation, and Walmart. This conversation is all about what it really takes to drive innovation and transformation at scale, from identifying strategic opportunities to breaking through organizational inertia. John offers a behind-the-scenes look at how leaders can make bold moves without losing alignment, culture, or control. Get ready for a sharp, energizing conversation that will challenge the way you think about leadership. Welcome, John.
Hey, great to be here. I don't know if I have the rhythm to keep up with this team, but I'll do my best. So.
Yes, you do. Absolutely.
I love that he thinks we have rhythm as a part of
exactly.
This. Like another win for me today.
I know. I had to tone down my dance moves now since we're doing more video now. So,
well, the trick is you don't accept the recording until after you're done. So technically, they can't.
Oh my goodness! I wasn't even thinking. No, but that's a very good point. John, your book is called Big Bet Leadership, your transformation playbook for winning in the hyper digital era. How did you define big bet leadership for today's leaders?
Yeah, so a big bet is any strategy. They get called lots of things within a company, right? They get called a digital transformation, an AI strategy, a growth strategy, an acquisition, an operating model, a redesign. But a big bet is fundamentally any concept or plan or strategy that we think has high ambition and high potential, but it comes packed with lots of risks, lots of dependencies, lots of unknown unknowns to it. And so it has both of those attributes of high ambition, but high risk to it. That is what a big bet is.
Love that. Big bets or go home. No, that's not how the saying goes, but it's pretty close, right? So what I really like about your books and your approach, John, like for me, from a verbiage perspective, like I love the term playbook for something that gives you information as opposed to read this and learn something. Like here is your toolkit for doing things. It connects so much more for me as a learner and a strategist overall. So I love that term. Let's add a little bit more appeal to it, because I know your approach is very different and has been wildly successful from the experience that we mentioned in so many areas. I mean, Amazon Marketplace, who hasn't heard of it or used it? So what makes your approach different from other leadership and or change management frameworks and initiatives?
Well, first, it's designed specifically for this leadership job of leading a major transformation, right? Like, so if you think about what leadership is a skill to lead or guide others for a specific mission. So different types of missions need different leadership skills. So like your day-to-day operating skills are not going to get the job done for a major change capability. And I think that's one of the first observations that and mistakes that really good operational leaders make, which is like, you need a separate playbook for transforming, reinventing an organization. Secondly, we wrote it specifically for senior level executives and the teams that serve senior leaders, right? There's a lot written, really good toolkits and methodologies about for the individual contributors and teams around agile capability and things like that. But tell me a book that's written specifically for senior leaders about what they need to do differently to be successful at this game called transformation. We couldn't find anything, and that was kind of the market gap that we observed and everything. So my co-author of this book, Kevin McCaffrey, Kevin was my client at T-Mobile. I got to be the senior innovation advisor at T-Mobile for 3 years. Kevin ran enterprise strategy and had the remit. One of his jobs was to build a new business incubation capability within T-Mobile. So we took a lot of the stuff from Amazon and some other perspectives, took it down to bare metal, built it back up specifically for T-Mobile to help a company build a new capacity, which is, how do you change? How do you consider a high ambition, high risk thing? How do you actually lead that through fundamentally an experimental led process?
I agree with the gap that you analyzed too, where, sorry, I know that I'm echoing. I agree with the gap that you said that you analyzed and kind of identified and then proceeded with, which is this: we have employees and then we have executives, and who's taking care of the in-betweens? Because if we're not, then are we teaching everybody to manage up then? And are we teaching everybody to manage down then? And are we relying on those two things? And then your seniors are okay. There's a lot of areas where we are not addressing what it takes to be somebody who is just as like very much an individual contributor in their role in guiding the success of an organization, but has direct reports and holds a very senior role that has a lot of stake tied to it too. So I love that that you've identified that in such a core area, because implementation of leadership of tech, like it leads to substantial organizational growth, especially in today's day and age, where that's most of what we need to focus on is how can we change our dynamics and our leadership and stay up to date with everything and make sure that every audience within an organization is addressed. One of your
Hey, Jocelyn, if I can just interrupt,
please,
like that kind of gets
stop
to
me, I'll ramble.
the heart of the subtitle, right? So the subtitle of the book is Your Transformation Playbook for Winning in the Hyperdigital Era. What's the hyperdigital era? So we start off the book with, I would say, a slightly provocative perspective of like, why do these things have such a high failure rate? These transformations, they all tend to have an 80 to 90% failure rate. One expert in large transformation, Bert Flyberg, studied 2,500 large-scale projects, and his studies reached that only 8% are on time, on budget. But more importantly, only half of 1% deliver the expected impact, right? And that's why we do these things. We do these things for impact. But that's the first thing that teams let go of is like, hey, I got to be on time, on budget. So they pull back on ambition, right? And so it's that tension of actually delivering game-changing capability while also managing and recognizing and truly like grokking the unpredictable nature that these things take. We built the book. Our inspirations for this book are from 4 big bet legends, like people that we worked for and studied pretty closely: Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, John Ledger, longtime CEO of T-Mobile, and Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft. And what our hypothesis is, what our position is that these leaders have 3 fundamental habits that other really good operational leaders need to adopt in order to be successful at driving this type of change. And those 3 habits are: they create clarity. They do not suffer from vague notions of transformation or improvement or we have to change. Like, no, they get zeroed in quickly up front on the problem and their hypothesis for the future state. Secondly, they maintain velocity. They don't let these strategies or plans just become another thing that the business does. Like, they keep priority and they keep focus. And the third is, and this is the hardest one, is they actually accelerate risk and value testing, deferring out big commitments. And so they fundamentally get at the heart of the challenge early. They hold off on actually making the large scale investments until they've de-risked it. That's what you do. And the rest of the book is how do you actually put that playbook, those habits into action as a senior leader.
I love that. We've worked on close to 100 large scale projects, mainly system implementations. And I would say, and I know looking at the stats, you typically read like 70% of large scale implementations fail. You were saying like close to 80, 90%, which is crazy. From our position, because we usually come in and we provide the talent, a lot of the training talent or learning strategists. So we typically partner with some of the large consulting companies such as like Accenture and IBM, and they do all the work behind the scenes, and then they bring us in to help quickly scale. From what we know, the majority of these projects have gone well. We do know last year we worked on a large scale project that did not go well at all. And it was not on our end, it was on the technology implementation, which again is not like our part. And it just seems like there was, like exactly what you're saying, there was no clarity really on the mission and what they needed to do. We were speaking.
So
yes,
Maria,
yes.
I
Okay, go ahead.
get invited in to do a lot of kind of QA reviews, or I call them pressure tests of an AI strategy or digital transformation. And I essentially ask 3 questions, but I ask them individually to a set of 10 to 15 people working on the project. I ask, what problem are you solving? I ask, what's your hypothesis for what the future state, like what's it going to feel like when we're done here? And then I ask, like, point me to the full-time dedicated team on this, right? And here's what happens across that set of 10 to 15 people. A third of them won't even answer my questions because they realize the trap that I've set, which is I can't answer a basic set of questions. The 2/3 that do answer it, you would think that like one's attending a soccer match and the other's at a baseball game, and the third's fishing. Like, they don't even sound similar in nature and everything, yes. Right? And it's that fundamental lack of clarity as to what problem are we solving? What do we think it's going to be like in the future? And show me a focused team that's working on this. If I can get a group centered on those 3 things, we're putting the building blocks in place on this. Like, that's not a guarantee, but we're starting to put the building blocks to be successful at these. It takes clarity, it takes focus, and it takes a will to drive fast, hard, failure-oriented testing in order to prove these things out.
How do you do that? Trying to hard fit, like, yes.
Well, it's not one thing, right?
Yes,
that's why
especially the third. Yes,
that's why it is a playbook, right? There's lots of things to do. But one answer to that question is as you've read, this book is highly leverages and built off of Amazon's kind of working backwards techniques, which is about thinking things through. The best way I know of to think things through is to actually write them out as a narrative memo and then debate them. That is at the heart of Amazon's working backwards and narrative-driven processes. We design a very specific set of memos and debates to have that are for this. What's the problem? We call it the what sucks. What's the outcome? Is the juice worth the squeeze? All of those things, and encouraging to have those honest, devil's advocate oriented debates about the situation. That's actually the best and cheapest type of testing you can do, is writing it out and debating. People think that like you're being critical or you're analyzing too much. Like, no, we're actually testing this concept by doing these simulations that we can do as people and everything. And so that's one of the things that you need to do to create clarity in what you're going to focus on.
So critically important. And I
And
can
it's
look at
hard
what you're
work.
saying. Yeah, I'm sure absolutely. So this particular client, multi-billion-dollar client, they went through a lot of acquisitions, trying to get a lot of these separate corporations on the same system. And I just think that, I mean, they didn't get the buy-in. A lot of people were just very much against what they needed to do. And I think they were trying to push quick, but they there was just a lot of things that I think they could have used help on. So, but very good organization, had a lot of things that were going well, but it was absolutely a big task to take. And as you mentioned, I mean, unfortunately, it's fairly common to do that.
In your experience, what are maybe some of my key identifiers that separate these bold ideas from being something worth betting on and something that you would consider more of just like a very risky distraction? Are there
Yeah.
consistent things you see?
So if you think of about a matrix, right? And on one axis is kind of size of the prize, right? Like, so benefit. And on the other axis is risk, from low risk to high risk, right? So you've got a 2x2 matrix. And the quadrant that you like don't want things in is that high risk, low benefit quadrant. That's the quadrant you're talking about. And funny enough, everybody would say like, oh, of course we don't put initiatives there. We don't focus there, but like actually you do. And so there's actually a ton of like collaboration things that actually don't matter to your customers or have a business case to them go into that bucket. And they tend to just bleed an organization out from both the resources budget to actually do things that are meaningful, as well as they fatigue the organization from more change that's coming and everything. And so one of the things I work with my clients on is like, hey, you need a portfolio. You want to have contrast, optionality. We companies rarely die of starvation. They die of indigestion from too many things that they can go do. And so you have to be very thoughtful about the good ideas that you need to say no to. And that ability to actually keep the main thing, that gets at the heart of the second of the critical habits, which is maintain velocity. If you take on too many things all at once, you can't maintain that focus. You can't maintain velocity. So you have to be of all the high stakes decisions to make, kind of that portfolio allocation design that we built this at T-Mobile. Like, we had a portfolio and we were very thoughtful about how many things we could take on at once as an organization, because you have to maintain the tempo. Now you sequence things out, but you have to be very careful. And so don't get distracted by those things that sound good. They sound cozy. Of course we'd want that and everything, but they actually don't move the business forward.
Are any of those good ideas that are considered like more of a distraction right now, do those become big bets eventually?
Rarely.
Okay.
Yeah.
If they're not good right now, they're not usually good later. Yeah.
Typically you want to really focus early on like, so we have kind of 3 core memos we recommend, right? The what sucks memo, like that's the problem statement that you need to solve and everything. The outcome definition memo, that's where you have a killer feature and you start identifying the key things that must be true. But the third memo, the outcome financial memo, also called the juice memo, is the juice worth the squeeze? That's where you really identify not just the business case, but the things that must be true to deliver this ambitious P&L that you want to deliver out of this. And you identify the risks there and pull that into your testing log. Rarely done within innovation or transformations is really recognizing the business case behind it. And things rarely go from like, oh, this is a great concept, Oh yeah, and guess what? We found out that we stumbled into this incredible P&L. You have to design that from the start. And again, like you got to be very careful about the things you pick. So you want to have a very good perspective as to what the both the upside and the downside relative to the business case can be for an initiative from the get-go.
So when you have a big bet in business, how much of it involves market research and actually surveying, speaking to your clients? I assume all of it. Is it always that case?
It's not always that case. So like an operating model redo might not have a ton of market research.
Sure.
But most product service improvement, service reinvention, expansion definitely has the voice of the customer at the heart of it. And again, coming from Amazon, where customer obsession is the first of the 16 leadership principles. I wrote the book, The Amazon Way, on the Amazon leadership principles. And so that is at the heart of kind of really getting at both the problem and the value proposition you want to get to. Sometimes you need to do customer research. Oftentimes you're really pretty well equipped on that. But one of the little secrets of this is, how do you test it by actually dissecting like what your competitors are doing or have done and how they went about it and how that directly applies to the concept that you have. In order to do that well, you have to really have dissected and broken down like the key elements of what you want to do so you can pinpoint the points of what they did and what the market told them about their value proposition or their go-to-market or their marketing or their customer acquisition costs, like whatever it is. And so again, another way of doing experimentation up front that can be market focused.
In your work at Amazon, and you mentioned in your book that what really escalated Amazon is when Prime was released.
Well, it was the combination of, so the marketplace business launched in 2002. Prime launched in 2005, closely followed up by FBA, Fulfillment by Amazon. When we launched the marketplace business in 2002, it wasn't like, okay, Prime's next up, then comes FBA. That concept didn't exist. But it was because we were in the game and we were always thinking about like what's next. It then took that flywheel, that triangulation between those three things, plus strategic patience, everyday urgency coupled with strategic patience. It really took 6 years for that combination, for customers to learn to come to Amazon, for all the enough selection to come on board so that we were authoritative in our selection and to get the network figured out. That, guess what? In 2009, that it really took off. Guess what else took off at that point and hasn't relented since then, which is Amazon stock. So the stock was largely flat for about 8 years. And I think that's part of the story that gets lost about Amazon was even when we were being called Amazon.con, Amazon.toast, and Amazon.org, because we obviously didn't know how to make money, like we were still thinking big, but we were finding clever, savvy, frugal ways to get to market so much faster and so much more efficiently than most major enterprises to do. And I think it's that scrappiness that Amazon is trying to get back to some degree. Like I think that's what Jassy is wrestling with, is like, we've become a little bureaucratic and everything. And that's what I think is driving so much CEO attention right now. It's not AI, it's the fact like we've got to be far less bureaucratic. Everybody has to be a builder. You have to either be operating at a world-class level, or you need to have a plan on how we're going to get here. That's where big bets come in. And that's what I think is driving so much urgency at the C-suite right now, is like bureaucracy doesn't work anymore.
Big bets require quite a bit as far as action and dedication and the scalability
elements to put in place.
Elements, yeah. Right. Great. I love that. Love that. And a lot of the things that your book addresses is taking risks and making sure that you're aligned on those risks as like an organization and the process forward. So how do leaders ensure that they are maintaining both? What's the steps that you encourage them to take?
Well, that's the whole book right there. But I think one of them is that's underplayed a lot is how to do actual helpful strategic communication. And what tends to happen in these is there's an announcement about a big transformation we're doing. We're vague about the problem we're solving, like we have to change, we have to do better for our customers, kind of like this. I refer to it as empty calorie, like, yeah, no duh, like we have to do these things. And then we might say, like, we're implementing a new system or we're making this change, like, really, that's the communication that we're doing. And what we encourage is, and we base this off of a really good book about change in strategic communication called Switch: How to Change When Change is Hard, which is you have to appeal to both the intellect and the emotional part of this journey that everybody is going through, right? And then you have to, so guess what? But we've done the hard work because we actually understand the problem we're solving and our provocative, emotional future state and why we're doing this. And we can tell the story of the journey that we're going to go on, that we're not, it's a bet. We think this is a good idea, but we're not sure. So we're going to be testing this out. Guess what we're doing? We're setting expectations. We're bringing everybody along, both their intellectual side, the writer, as well as their emotional side, the elephant, relative to this. And then you have to repeat, repeat, repeat. You have to be the chief repeating officer. Simple stories, time and time again, is the simplistic but powerful framework of communication that's needed to get there, because we are all overburdened with so many communication signals coming. That's what senior leaders need to do, but to be successful, to create and maintain that alignment that I think you're referring to.
I love the chief repeating officer. We're actually dealing with right now we have a platform, and we had a major release a few weeks ago, and talking to our product team, and we're not talking enough about it. We have meetings and
it's like, what do you actually repeat and everything, right? And so it's like my recommendation is like, don't talk about talk about the why we're doing it, or like, what's it going to feel for me, or why does it matter to a customer? Simon Sinek, like, start with why. Like, why are we doing this? You have to repeat, repeat, repeat. And the more specific you are, the more memorable it is, of course, right? So when we launched the marketplace business, like, literally the whole strategy came down to this one line. Like, we wrote these future press release, right? That's in the book, future press release. And it didn't come to us immediately, but the one line was, a third-party seller in the middle of the night will be able to register, list an item, fulfill an order, and delight a customer as though Amazon, the retailer, did it. Pretty simple sentence, but it captures the heart and soul of a completely different strategy relative to, at that point, eBay was 3 times our size, the market leader in kind of this marketplace-driven business. We had a completely different point of view as to like what we thought the winning customer value proposition would be. And it was that one sentence that then allowed me to, like, hey, this is what we have to do operationally. Hey, this is what we have to do with all of our third-party sellers. Hey, this is what we need our contracts to look like. Hey, this is what we need the website to look like. Like, that one sentence. And that's what you have to get at. And when Bezos would come down the hall on his Segway, and he wouldn't ask me, he wouldn't ask me a question like, John, how's the marketplace going? No, he would ask, John, can a third-party seller in the middle of the night register, right? So he was repeating the killer feature of the marketplace. That's an example of strategic communication that wins.
I hope we can pull out the quote when Bezos is coming down the hallway on a Segway that just like brought a smile to my face.
I can picture it right now.
I bet you can. I was in the memory
with you. The great thing is,
you.
you'd hear the cackle coming from 50 feet away. So it was never a surprise and everything, right?
That's so funny. I love that. Well, that's a good segue, haha, into a little bit more, because another big part of this, as with all organizations and needs to keep being talked about, is the culture around initiatives and just your organization at a whole. So beyond risk and alignment and the repetition and the whys, culture is the biggest thing that can make or break a big bet, right? So what characteristics do organizations really need to make these big decisions and transformations successful?
Well, they have to fundamentally recognize the calculated risk that they're taking, and that calculated risk is good. People think that taking risks are bad. Like, no, 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 no. That's where you make a difference, is by taking calculated risks. You need to, this is all about high stakes decision making. So that's why you need a different playbook in order to do this, because your typical incremental business, your operational business, like, it's a completely different decision-making framework that you're taking on. It's high predictability. These are low predictability, but high ambition situations. You need to have a different decision-making framework relative to it. So the culture that you're talking about, I think, is primarily the culture within the strategy setting environment, wherever that happens, which is understanding, like, we need to take smart, calculated risks. That's actually how you win, is by taking bold moves. You need to be operationally excellent and have incremental innovation, but you're probably not going to create new competitive gap and moats just with that, right? It comes by doing something different, something orthogonal, something non-traditional. So I think that's the number one cultural thing. And so you need a different set of language around it. For example, the term bet is a very important word, because it signals this is an idea, but it comes loaded with calculated risk. So I think it's a good idea, but I'm not sure. Oh, okay, we're using a different playbook. Now we're going to be talking about that calculated risk, experimentation led. And one of the problems companies make is they use the term project or initiative for everything. Well, which side of this playbook am I playing now and everything? The high predictable playbook, where I should be able to give you a plan and commit to hitting it? Or am I in this calculated risk playbook? So you need different language, different terms relative to it. And that's kind of the leadership development and the culture that's needed on this. One of the things I avoid is using that term. A lot of people talk about failure, fail fast, encourage failure, blah, blah, blah. The problem with it is it's an overloaded term, right? And it gets used to create low accountability within an organization. I've seen and participated in way too many innovation teams, lab teams, and everything where because there wasn't constraints relative to that team, like, they're just failing fast and everything. Like, it actually was just, as we call in the book, kind of all hat, no cattle, right? Like, they're just trying to show that they're being innovative versus actually trying to be innovative. So I use the word experimentation or bets or things like that, because all of your organization should have a high sense of urgency of getting stuff done today, the right things done today. And you don't want this transformation or innovation lab or AI lab, whatever it is, to become a low accountability organization. And that happens all the time in these types of setups.
That's very interesting. And so much that you're saying right now is making my mind spin in a very, very good way. How do you tell the difference, though?
Oh,
Because it's just not enough planning.
Let's just sit down and you tell me what's going on, and like, what are the tests you're running? What's your decision-making criteria? What's your portfolio? Who's doing what? In a pretty quick conversation,
just asking a bunch of questions.
You can tune into, like, is this a team that's wired for success on this, or is this kind of a show pony that's just there to say we have an AI strategy or we're being innovative?
Okay. Just like what you wrote in your book, and like thinking in memos, like, you need to be able to clearly back it up in less than 5 pages.
Yep.
Otherwise,
exactly.
it's just kind of all fluff. I love that. Matter of fact, we are having a meeting next week with the whole management team, which we like to have every quarter or so. I probably have it too generic. It's like a strategy meeting, and we're talking about thinking big. But I like what you're saying as far as the big bets. And I will have to finish your book so I can be more on my game to help structure this meeting better.
Depending upon the nature of kind of the meeting and everything, we built big bet leadership off of three books in our own experience and everything, right? The first book is I think the best strategy book out there, which is Good Strategy, Bad Strategy by Richard Rumelt, right? And that book will fundamentally change the way that you think about what strategy is. And Rumelt talks about that strategy identifies a problem, gets at the crux of that problem with a philosophy for how to solve it and a set of tactics. We built off of that notion in Big Bet Leadership and really A, showed you how to do that, and B, included this element of experimentation in order to do it for high risk things. But that book, Good Strategy, Bad Strategy, might be a really good insert into a planning meeting. I do that a lot of times with my clients is I'll have them read Good Strategy, Bad Strategy, and then the tactics of Big Bet Leadership complementing it.
So John, so I know you are working in many different ways with organizations. You also do a lot of like keynote speaking. So for our clients that are listening to this today and they are going through a big bet transformation, how do you work with them? Is it you? Is it a team? Who do you work with within the organization? Yes.
I have potentially the most flexible value ladder of any service provider I've ever seen. Like you can read the book, you can listen to a great podcast, you can have me as a keynote speaker or to do a QA, a pressure test, or we can help you lead a big bet. And I go up and down that value stream all the time. We have a small team, and I like it that way because I get to be deeply involved in all of my client work. I was a partner at a really good firm for 12 years after Amazon. I was a partner at Alvarez & Marsal. And when you grow this big team and big organization, you can't help but kind of like get separated a little bit from the details. And honestly, I am a builder. I like solving hard problems. That's what lights me up. And so I like where I'm at today, which is like I take on a limited few clients where I really work with them on not just building a plan and strategy, but how do you actually change the leadership tone and tempo and how they work together in a way that's probably aligned with Big Bet Leadership to actually create a consistent culture or approach for how we do this as a team. So I strive to have kind of both a short-term benefit, which is the plan or the strategy, as well as a long-lasting impact, which is like, man, we have completely different types of conversations now, and we work together in a different way, and it has at its core truth-seeking instead of kind of like being too careful about other people's perspectives. Like that is important, but it is not the most important thing. The most important thing is solving hard problems for your customers so that you're a more valuable company. That is the most important thing. And we have to have the willingness to have those truth-seeking conversations.
So now we're going to move on to the next set of questions, which is the TTA 10.
Okay.
It's the TTA 10 final questions for our guest.
All right, John. So I gave you the lowdown on the TTA 10. So I'm going to ask 10 questions. Be ready for them. I know you are. And we are going to put a 90-second timer on. David will count us down. We'll get rocking and rolling, and then we get the outcome. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Oh, he's so ready, guys. He's so ready. All right, David. What? Oh, yeah, the clock, please.
This is your first rodeo here, Jocelyn. Yes, let's put here, 90 seconds on the TTA 10 clock, starting now.
Okay, John, what's the most unusual job you've ever had?
I was a busboy.
Okay. If you could instantly master any new skill today, what would it be?
Surfing.
What book or TV show or movie do you rewatch or read more times than you want to admit?
Good Strategy, Bad Strategy.
Do you work best early in the morning or late at night?
Early in the morning.
If you had to give a TED Talk tomorrow, but not about anything in your career, what would the topic be?
About my French bulldog, Bossman Rossman.
Need to meet him immediately.
Yes.
What's a small daily ritual that sets you up for success?
I get up early, I stretch out, and I exercise every morning.
Who was your favorite childhood superhero?
Batman.
If you had an extra hour in the day, how would you spend it?
I go for a walk.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
And what's a food you could eat every single day and you'd never get sick of it?
Carnitas.
Oh, good choice.
Yes.
All right, David, that is it. Excellent, John. I'm going to say right away.
Yes.
And you put a clock on me and I'm going to excel.
Yes, absolutely. Place the big bet on John on the TTA test.
Yes.
David, give us the verdict, please.
He deserves a little bit of fanfare for this.
Shut up.
Oh,
58 seconds. 58 seconds. Well,
best. He's so.
How old is he?
He's 10.
Oh my
Oh my God,
I
he
see
still looks like a puppy.
Old man Grace. He's
I
cute.
do. But is his face? Oh my goodness, we're big dog lovers. I guess.
Yes, we would have picked dog too if you couldn't tell. John,
absolutely.
so. Sorry, David has something to do.
That was beautifully distracting.
well, will a dog appear in the salute we have prepared? Perhaps. Let's find out. This is for you, John. Here we go.
There's a hum in the boardroom on a Friday night. The suits are all nursing their plans. The digital charts glow in flickering light, waiting for a dude who understands. He strides through the doorway, a spark in his eyes, a strategist born to believe.
Where's my lighter?
It's just kind of, it's like sad. Sad and happy.
An Oregon State beaver has some magic tucked up in his sleeve. Sing us a tune, marketplace man. You're a machine's vital call. You turned Amazon's dreams into billions of streams. You're as big as the fight in the dark. So raise up your glasses to business reborn, to the busiest beaver. Hot damn. John Rossman's the name. Success is his game. As charming as even John Hayes.
Oh my God, it continues.
We're almost done.
Thousands of clients can't be wrong. You just made the day of us at TTA. Hope you love this nonsensical song.
There you go.
Wow.
That was
You have surprised me. Thank you. That took some effort.
that
He
was
was
very
debating
good.
all show if it was a big bet or just a risky distraction, and he went big bet, John. And I think it paid off. So
That's brilliant.
Yeah, it was brilliant. So that can be your new theme song when you're walking into some of these keynote events.
yeah,
Like
right.
Marketplace
You just need a
man.
smoke machine.
Marketplace
and,
man. That's
you know,
going to
like
be
a
your
spotlight
on your
dragging you
t-shirt
in.
now.
Slow walk. You know, we have work. You got to work out the whole intro.
When you're walking in your neighborhood, you just have to blast that
Yep.
as you're walking.
Awesome. John, this was a really informative and fun episode. Thank you
was.
for being so transparent with all of your information. I know that we enjoyed it and our audience will too.
Absolutely great information, and I'm excited to learn more
Mhm.
and read your books.
Awesome. Thank you
Yes,
for having
thank
me.
you very much.
If you're interested in making a transformational change in your organization through Big Bet Leadership, visit us at thetrainingassociates.com. We'll see you later.